Oh, hi there. Just a minute, I'm not quite in the centre. Just a bit of an adjustment. Sorry about that. Okay. Hi there, everybody. My name is Richard Wishart. I'm an enterprise architect. I'll explain a bit about what that means in a second. This week I'm doing a series of discussions about Periscope or scoping. I've done social media for some time now, and I've done a lot of video work on Google Plus, on Twitter, and just straightforward video on YouTube. So I've done quite a lot of that, but Periscope is brand new to me, just as it is to everybody else. And I've had great fun this week. I should have been doing my business books because they've got to be in by the end of the week. But I've been playing on Periscope virtually every day. It's very addictive, and I find it a lot of really good fun. So what I'd like to do today is probably spend about 20 minutes. I'd like to welcome people onto the call, and I'll then give you a little bit of my my 5-minute pitch on how I think Periscope works, and it is a bit of how I think it works rather than the definitive, because like everybody, you learn as you go along. And then what I'd like to do is to concentrate on what I think is the hardest bit, which is how do you grow your audience? How does that work? And as we go along, what I'll also do is mention a couple of the interesting changes that are happening or that will be happening on Periscope that over the last couple of days, next couple of days. There's been a lot happening. So if you're a newbie to Periscope, the technology is changing, the audience is changing, and we're all learning. So let me just, first thing is I should welcome people onto the call. In fact, just see whether there's anybody that I know. So I've got Mark and Denise at the moment, probably a few other people as well. So welcome Mark, welcome Denise. So let's just start off the basics of Periscope. And this is my take on it. I'm an enterprise architect, so I've got some technology and IT background, but I've been using social media for about 4 or 5 years now. LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter, and my take. So Periscope, there are a couple of functions for the user, a couple of functions for the person at the other end. And very simply, it's tap the screen to give hearts, or put your comments in on the other side to give you comments. Simple as that. But you can then have a conversation with the presenter. And that's really where Periscope scores over most of the other technology. It's a one-sided discussion. It's not on Hangouts on Air. You can have a panel, everybody talking. It's quite complicated. It's good, but it's quite complicated. It's a panel forum, as you see in a conference. This is quite different. So it's a speaker who's controlling the exercise, and you have an audience, and it can be a large audience, and a large audience clearly is quite hard to manage. So you've got to try and build up that rapport with your audience. That's the hard bit. It's the bit that I'm trying to practice this week. So what I'm doing is I've set myself a task that I'll be doing a scope. This isn't Periscope, it's a scope every evening at 8 o'clock. A bit late tonight because my neighbour was cutting his grass, so I had to wait until he'd finished before I actually started up. Because this is I work from home. This is my boardroom. It's the lounge in my house. I open up a door at the side and I'm out into the garden. So it's been a fantastic day today. I'm based in Cambridge, Cambridge in the United Kingdom, and I do a lot of local business activity. So I'm the chairman of the Huntingdonshire Business Network. I get involved with Cambridge Network. There's a lot of entrepreneurial activity goes on locally, and I love it. And social media is part of that. So learning how to scope is really important. Okay, so thanks for being my guinea pigs, and hopefully we can learn from each other as we go along. So I've given you the two basic online features. So the features for the users are hearts, keep tapping on the right, and messages coming up on the left. So I see people who are joining, and I get comments from people as well. So those are the two things that as users you should be playing with. Make most advantage of it. It's one of the only mediums that I've found where you can have a direct discussion with a presenter. And the presenters that you can have discussions with, I had a really interesting one today. At the BBC, they have a thing called Outside Source. On Outside Source, it's a Periscope application running in the newsroom, being presented to, bringing other people in to present. And you can speak to the presenter or the producer directly, as we are at the moment. So you really are in the front in terms of the news agenda. So that's what I really like about it. So the basic functions are, and this is the bit getting to describe this cleanly and cleverly is actually quite important. So that's what I've been trying to work at. When you come on, there are three little icons at the top of the screen. So there's first of all a television icon, and then there's a world globe icon, and then there's a little crowd of people. So you have those three icons. Those three icons represent the three screens, and they're actually flippable. So you can actually flip from one screen to the other just by moving your finger across the screen. The first one, the little television icon, is what are the people that you're following, what are they doing? Who's live and who's posted in the last 24 hours? So you can see the live ones at the top. You can see who's posted in the last 24 hours down below, and you can follow down. You can look at things live, and you can look at things in the last 24 hours. And while you're in either live or the last 24 hours, you can still be liking, and you can still be interrogating the people who are in the group. And I'll explain that in a minute. So you've got this, the production side, who you're following, what they're doing. That's pretty important. The next one, which is the world is who's all on Periscope around the world in alphabetical order, so huge list. But that second one, the who's on, the application varies between those who are Apple users and those who are Android users. Hopefully they'll combine them in the future, but at the moment, if you're an Apple user, you've got a couple of options there. One is to see a world view and see who's local to you. Android guys don't have that yet, but we're hoping to. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then also within that list, you also get, is it a list? No. No, okay, so you've got that list, the world view. So who's in your world? Who are you broadcasting to? What's the world opportunity? So that's the opportunity screen. The next one along is the people, the group. Now, initially I thought that was who I was following, who's following me, but it's not. It's a list of potential people that you might want to connect with. That's what it is. And what it seems to happen is that it's serving me up people who are on my Twitter list. So I have about 1,500 followers on Twitter. And that is my list, or some of it's my list, some of it's not. But I'm recognizing names and faces. Obviously, they've got to have signed up for Periscope or been using Periscope, so that's a credential as well. So it's almost taking your Twitter lists, serving to them as potential for Periscope connectors. Now, as I say, that third one is just your potential connections. That's where you've got to be selective. You've got to actually grow your audience, very important. But your audience that you grow has got to be relevant to the messages that you're putting out. So you've really got to curate that list, or the list of connections, very carefully. You've got to grow it, it's got to be large-ish, but it's also got to be relevant. So getting a relevant and reasonably large list is a major challenge for a new product. That's the issue. Okay, so we've got the three icons. They are selectable at the top, or you can skip through your screen to go through them. On the final screen, there is a little icon at the top right-hand side. I'm speaking Android at the moment. Apple may be different, but I'm really speaking from an Android perspective, which is the only thing I know. I'm just Android. On the top right-hand side, there's a little profile picture, silhouette. It's the best way to put it. You click on that, it then brings up a list of options. So that's your configuration button. And what you'll see in there is the number of people that you're following, the number of people that are following you, the number of likes that you've had, and the number of blocks that you've had. So those 4 things. If you go down below that, you will see another couple of options. And the really important option from my perspective is, do you wish to save to your camera roll? That's what they call it, video roll, camera roll, which again is an Apple term. On Android, and I use Google Apps and I use Photos in Google Apps. What I found 2 days ago was that when I do a Periscope run, that's a good one, a Periscope run, what you've taken, the video, and it's just the video, it's not the likes, it's not the hearts, and it's not the comments, it's just the basic video, is saved to your Google Photos app. And when it's in there, of course, you can then load it up onto YouTube, I can load it up onto Google+, and I can load it up onto Twitter, so I can get it onto all my social media streams, which is great. So that's what I've been doing. People probably think I'm absolutely crazy if they don't understand Periscope and they see these videos coming up from my main streams. So that's the basic tools and functionality for how you move around within the app. So first of all, I showed you what functions do the users see, what functions do how do they act in terms of the operation. There's also some in-stream actions that you can do as well. So as well as the hearts, bang, 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 get the hearts up, the messages, and sometimes on the message, let me just add another quick one. That's good, that's some green hearts coming out there. On the messages side, if you're a good moderator, I'm not that good yet, but what I've seen done quite effectively is the moderator to ask a question and to get people to respond by typing in a word or a simple word or some comment. So, are you really enjoying this broadcast? If it's yes, type yes, press return, and I'll get some comments from you. Or if it's no, say no, and I'll get some comments as well. But you can get your comments coming. And if you've got a large audience, then you'll see that coming up on the side of the screen. What you can also do, and again really useful on Android, and I think it's different again from Apple, is that I can go to the bottom of my screen and lift the bottom of the screen up. And when I see when that bottom of the screen comes up, what you'll see, and you can do it as well, what you'll see is me at the top, and you can click on that, you can get my profile details, you can see me. Underneath it says, do you wish to share? And that's an important one, because what you can do is if you see somebody who's good, and you probably watched them a couple of times and you're happy with what they're saying and that that they're genuine and that they actually know stuff, then you can actually share that with the people who are following you. And that's really powerful, and that's really where you want to try and get to, but you're not going to get to that on the first view. What you also have on that, once you've lifted the veil, let's call it, lift the veil or the curtain to see who's following, when you see who's following, you'll get a list of people. People come in and go out as you're doing the Periscope. That's one of the things that's quite difficult to get your head around. They're not there for the duration. And as a moderator, you've got to try and, hi there. One of the things you've got to do is keep your audience. That's why you see me, I'm trying to do it subtly, but you've got to sort of introduce yourself and recap as you go through your presentation, or to go through the talk, to keep other people on board. You've also got to try whenever possible. Oh, we've got a new joiner, Beherk. What subject are we on? Well, this is a gentle introduction to how Periscope works from my perspective. I'm a newbie just like everybody else. I'm running these every night at 8 o'clock, and I'm trying to improve my understanding by trying to explain to other people how I understand it works. So hints and tips as you go along, but really it's a more overview. So, okay, so let's just sort of recap. So I'm Richard Wisher. I'm an enterprise architect. I'm talking about Periscope, how to get Periscope working for you. I'm an enterprise, let's have a little sort of slight break from the main thing. And maybe a sort of a little spoiler for what I'm hoping to present later in the series. Just trying to get how Periscope works first, okay? But I'm an enterprise architect and I work in what I call the cloud of things. So I work in things like iBeacons, 3G sniffers, RFID, so RFID tags, active and passive tags. And in fact, if you look on this is a passive tag. So I did a big project on this. There's about 1 million of these tags in my project now in circulation. The very center there is a microdot. So just at this point here, there's a microdot, and the rest is an aerial. So the microdot is a computer, a proper computer that's woken up, and when you connect to it, and it responds. What you can do beyond that is you can move to this sort of thing. So this is printed RFID. So it's still a microdot in the middle there of those. But it's printed. It's printed on a dot matrix style printer. The electronics are printed onto paper. So just to give you a flavor of the sort of things I've been doing, this was an old tag, $50, came down to about $20. This tag was about 12 cents, came down to about 8 cents. And this tag is less than a cent. So that's the way the technology is evolving and changing over time. So that's what I'm going to get onto later as an enterprise architect, but really I want to focus now on social media. So get your Periscope brain on, Richard, and let's get back to the subject in hand. Okay, so yeah, I'm pleased of your interest, but I really want to try and keep on subject if I can. Thanks very much. Okay, so why scoping? What's the big thing about scoping? Well, scoping is it's interactive and it's simple. I think that's the main thing. It comes from a very simple base. It comes from the Twitter style world, which is simple. It's simple tweets, simple concepts. It's something you can do. Anybody can do from the smartphone. You don't need a big set up a big studio to do. You simply do it from your smartphone. You do need a good connection. The connection I've got here is actually I have fiber into the house, and just saying your cast won't get nowhere if you don't. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to interact with the questions that come up. I'm trying to keep on track as well. Okay, let me move on to what I wanted to do, which was the final bit. So how do you grow your audience? Well, there's a number of ways. Being Twitter, if you take this sort of Twitter analogy, it limits the number of people that you can follow. So I've got 1,500 people and that I'm following. I've got 1,500 people that I'm following, but I've got to have 1,400 people following me before I can add more people, before I can follow more people. So in effect, you've got this sort of little barometer. So I follow more people follow me, follow more people follow me. So that's the sort of concept. I don't know what the limits are on Periscope. I think I've probably gone past the sort of the equivalent limit that there is on Twitter at the moment. So I think it's quite open. It might close down a bit as you move on. So that's the sort of thing you can do. You can go in, you've got the suggestion list. You can choose to follow the people on the suggestion list, and they can choose to follow you. Now that's an option. It's not I'll follow you, so you must follow me. It's not that. You've got to encourage people to follow you by good broadcasts, and that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to build up how you do the broadcast and get more practice on it. And some people are quite scared about coming online and talking to the world. And yeah, you should be. You should be a little bit concerned, but you shouldn't be shy. Just get out there and do it. If it doesn't work, it's disappeared within 24 hours and no harm is done. So really get in and have a go, I would suggest. But what we have on Periscope at the moment is we have a lot of early adopters, but a lot of very good early adopters. And what you'll find is, or what I've found, is that it is a really good way. I've made some friends already in the 2 or 3 days that I've been on, good friends, and I watch their Periscopes and learn from them. And really, you got to learn from other people, try and get the best ways of doing things, and trying to work that out. The other way you can follow people, the other way you can get people to follow, is that when you look at the Periscope, you can do this. You can see the comments that are coming up on the left-hand side, and you can click on those comments. So you can click on the good comments. The details of that person will come up, sort of a little bio at the top, and you've got the option to follow. If their bio fits what you've seen, and you want to follow what they're saying or follow them, then you can actually follow them directly from their comments. Similarly, if you come onto a Periscope where you have the person who is moderating or leading the discussion, again, if you lift the bottom of the curtain up from the bottom on your Android screen, you can see that person, and you can click on them and you can follow them. So it's all quite intuitive, and it's all quite simple. A lot of the functionality is not. There's some very simple on-screen functionality. You've got to think a little bit better about how you will engage people, how you engage with subjects. The medium is pretty poor at the moment in terms of how you segment your audience. So there's not a group of people who are interested in Cloud of Things, my interest, or people that are interested in aviation or different subject areas. It's just one mass of people. So you've still got to select as you would do on Twitter. So selection and the segmentation is far better on Google Plus and LinkedIn. Anyway, so that's my presentation. I think we've done about 20 minutes, which is what I intended to do. I've learned quite a lot. I hope you have. I do really sincerely hope that you've enjoyed yourself. And as I say, I'm going to be doing this about 8 o'clock each night. I'll do it each night for this week and see whether I can grow my audience. And I've been doing that. I've been working very actively at growing my audience during the day. The people that I follow, and I'm getting more people to follow me, and they're now connecting with me on Twitter. So it's all helping. It's all sort of builds up and grows. So thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate your listening to me and joining in my discussion. Thanks very much for your attention, and good night.